So over the last few weeks, we've heard from various legal experts, and some have told us that this bill could be challenged. And if there is a challenge, it's likely to come from one of two places. One is the EU, and the second is from an Irish company. And that's an Irish company, no specific company, but a company that feels injured still. Has there been any talk amongst your members, or have you heard anything that would suggest that any of your members would think like that?
It hasn't been suggested to us, Deputy. And again, I suspect, that companies will look at the detail of whatever the legislation is and seek to implement it and adhere to it as best they can. So no one has mentioned to us that there would be, that they'd be looking to advance a legal challenge in any way.
Over the years, have you any knowledge of any of your members who would take action against a state piece of legislation because, again, they felt injured by its introduction?
There probably are instances. It's not something that we see that regularly. Looking generally, the approach of business is to work with the state, work with the legislation, work with the agencies of the state to implement the will of government and the Oireachtas. And that's why I suppose we've come here today very much in that spirit, but identifying to the committee that we think this will have costs and implications. But the intention of the vast majority of businesses would be to work with the state to implement this in a practical way, whatever the decision of the Oireachtas is.
Okay, that's fair. And just one final question. You talk about businesses, particularly where services are involved, potentially moving a team abroad or moving a piece of business abroad. We're obviously talking large businesses in these scenarios, but some businesses are quite small, and it's a few people. There's no ability to move abroad in that situation. Have you heard of any business that's potentially threatened by the introduction of this legislation?
In terms of threatened to viability? No, I can't say I have. That definitely hasn't been reported to us. But I would be conscious for smaller businesses, again, and these really kind of complex, kind of value chain structures in kind of the services sector that, people may have some exposure that they're not aware of, and the detail of this legislation will bring new obligation for them.
Okay, thank you.